On the show, in Wheelspin, we drive the new Ford Figo. On the launch pad, Mercedes launches the Maybach. Quicker presents the quicker car guide. On the road with Fiat, we drive the Aventura to Morney Hills. Figo was the first car which literally put Ford India onto the Indian roads, both in terms of the sales numbers as well as the visibility. And why not? After all, it was a hatchback, and India, as we all know, is a hatchback country. But that was 5 years ago, and the Figo was getting a little long in the tooth. So it was time for change, and that's exactly what Ford did. They brought out the new Ford Figo. Let's have a look as to what really is new in this. The Figo was a small compact which gave Ford a reasonable identity in the Indian market. But the car was more utilitarian in nature than a showstopper, and the people who bought the Figo did it more for the reasons of the mind than the heart. But now the new Figo looks a bit more promising. If you were to ask the question, what's really new in this Ford Figo, then the answer would be short and simple: pretty much everything. She sits on a brand new platform, has new interiors, and the styling is all fresh. In this sense, she is truly the next generation Figo, and everything that's essential for a car has changed in this. Now, coming down to the looks, whether you like it or not, I'll leave it to you, but she certainly is an improvement over the old Figo. The old Figo might have had plenty of strengths, but being a great looking car certainly wasn't one of them. And this car too, although it's improved, it looks better, but still she really isn't the kind of a car which will make me run to the showroom with a wallet in my hand to buy it because of the way she looks. She still remains a bit understated and subdued, and this corporate grille here already looks a bit too familiar. The new Figo is built on Ford's new global platform and has been designed grounds up, keeping specially the requirements of the consumers for a market like India. And the company claims that safety has been an important parameter while designing and building the car. And the passenger compartment is built using high-strength steel to protect occupants in the unfortunate event of a collision. The new Figo will be built in Ford's new plant in Sanand, Gujarat. This new Figo will be sold with a 1.2-litre petrol engine as well as a 1.5-litre diesel engine, and also a 1.5-litre petrol which will be made into an automatic transmission. What I drive here today is the 1.5-litre common rail diesel, and this churns out 100 brake horsepower as peak power and 215 Newton meters of torque. And the best part about this engine is the fuel economy. It gives you over 25 kilometers to a litre. Once you hear the word 25 kilometers to a litre, you start fearing that the engine has been sort of compromised to give out more fuel efficiency at the cost of power. But once you start driving it, all your fears disappear. And this is one engine you will love to drive if you are a keen driver. This is really well behaved. It's very smooth. The power delivery is very linear. There is no hint of a turbo lag, and I really like the way she pumps out one horse after another. It's a small car, it's a hatchback, so obviously you do not expect performance out of it, but the way the engine goes about doing its business is really impressive. It is indeed one of the best diesels I've driven in a long time. And if you were to talk about the three letters NVH, noise, vibration and harshness, I can tell you there won't be much to talk about because this is a quiet car, there's hardly any vibration, and it is really well behaved. It's a pleasure to drive this car. In fact, I'm quite taken aback. I really like the feel of this electric power steering here. It's very nicely weighted here, and even while you are cruising on the highway or cornering hard, it does manage to give you enough feedback. In fact, it adds to the pleasure of driving this car here. The engine here is mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox You don't get a choice of automatic with the diesel, unfortunately, but the gearbox here will delight you with the short, precise throws, and it slots in quite nicely. The gear here is tall enough and you don't really have to work that gearbox too much even in city traffic. In terms of handling, again, it's very Ford-like, stays planted and very confidently takes the corners. In fact, you'd love to throw this car around fast corners and it will take you by surprise, because at the end of the day, this is a small hatch which is not meant for performance or even driving very hard. But the kind of performance the engine gives you, you like to do both. Another area where the Figo scores very well is in terms of the ground clearance. It clears 174 millimeters, which is quite a bit for a family hatch like this. I think if you look at the combination of the engine performance, the steering, the suspension, this Figo comes across as a car which is basically a driver's car, in spite of the fact that it's a small hatch. But if you like to drive, I think you will like driving this Figo, because I feel that everything has been put together in this car for a person who loves to drive. And that again is a very Ford-like thing. The game changer here is, I think, the interiors. Not only everything has changed in terms of the looks and the layout, but also I feel the quality of the materials have gone up drastically. The seat fabric feels good, the fascia looks rock solid, and of course what you get are plenty of features which were absent in the old Figo. There is a huge addition. Some of the features of course have been borrowed from the elder sibling, the Figo Aspire, which was recently launched, like the Ford My Dog. But one of the features that I really love is this, the key. With the help of this key, you can actually program the car and you can control both the volume of the stereo as well as the top speed. And this I really like, and you will also like if you have an errand driver at home or teenage kids. Will certainly help keeping them out of trouble. My Ford Dock is also a feature which is available only from the middle trim trend onwards, which offers a solution for storing, mounting and charging mobile phones, MP3 players and sat-nav systems, and integrates them all into the car's infotainment system for ease of use. And consumers looking for even more connectivity can choose the Ford App Link, which will connect them with restaurants and other places in the nearby area, and even give you the cricket scores as it is connected to certain cricket sites. Like me, when you start driving the Figo, what you will really appreciate is the clever designing of the interior and the space it really offers. There are plenty of cubby holes here to keep your knickknacks in, bottle holders here, 12-volt socket, USB port, everything that will really come in handy on a long drive. Plus you have multifunction buttons on the steering wheel. What really though surprises me is the fact that I drive one of the top trims, the titanium, but the steering wheel is still not leather wrapped, and the fascia too here is single tone black. What I had expected is of course a dual tone, especially on the top trims. I think that would have livened up things quite a bit. But what immensely pleases me in this new Figo is the attention paid to safety. The top trim gets 6 airbags. To take the theme of safety further, Ford also offers airbags for the driver's side, even in the base trim, and another first-in-class feature, emergency assistance, which in case of a collision will provide information about your vehicle location automatically using the sync function and a Bluetooth paired phone to call emergency transponders. If you get into the back seat of this new Figo, I don't think you will have anything to complain about in terms of the space. There's plenty of knee room here, lots of headroom. In fact, it's fairly generous and makes you feel that you're in the back of a sedan rather than a hatchback. But if you try to put more than 2.5 people here, then things are going to get very tight, and again reminds you then that this is a hatchback. But of course what you don't get here is an armrest, which I feel would have made life a lot more comfortable in the long run, and you also don't get rear AC vents. However, what you get here is a bottle holder and also pockets on the back of the front seats to keep your stuff in, and a little cubby hole here again for storage. Ford has paid a lot of attention to making this car practical, and it really shows up in the amount of storage space you have even in the rear. The boot capacity is 257 litres and the rear seats fold down completely to increase it to over 600 litres. After having spent some time with the new Figo here, I will still say that she is not a car I will buy because of the way she looks. However, I have more compelling reasons to buy this Figo. Number one, drivability. The 1.5 litre diesel here is easily one of the best diesels I've driven in a long time. The power delivery is linear and it's really fun to drive, plus it's fuel efficient. And in terms of space, you have no reasons to complain. The feature list is impressive and Ford has priced the car very competitively. All these are very good reasons to buy the Figo, only if she were a little more exciting to look at. The Figo will be available in 6 trims and 3 engine options, and starting price is rather attractive at Rs 4.29 lakhs for the base petrol, while the base diesel starts at Rs 5.29 lakh, and the automatic with a bigger 1.5 litre petrol engine is priced at Rs 6.91 lakh.